hätte ich meiner Tochter nur geglaubt. Oh, hätte ich meiner Tochter nur geglaubt. Oh, hätte ich meiner Tochter nur geglaubt. Oh, hätte ich ihr geglaubt. Oh, hätte ich ihr geglaubt. Ihr nur geglaubt, ihr nur geglaubt, ihr nur geglaubt, ihr nur geglaubt. Ich läge mich in diesem Loch, wo Ratten mich und Mäuse noch. Ich läge mich in diesem Loch, wo Ratten mich und Mäuse noch. Lebendiglich, lebendiglich, lebendiglich verzehren.
The criteria we use for measuring equipment are really so inadequate that it's very difficult to see how any really serious engineer would say, you know, I now know. And unfortunately, an awful lot of people in audio, engineers in audio, will measure their equipment and they won't listen to it, because they are convinced, they've completely taken the Peter Walker argument that if it measures the same, it sounds the same. And if you can get it to measure better, then it'll sound better. And of course, we all know, well, most of us know that have listened to different equipment over a few years, know that you can take two pieces of equipment that measure virtually the same and they sound wildly different. So what does that tell you about the using measurements as a reference to sound? It's completely worthless.
I think the biggest challenge we have is it's not in terms of the sales side, it's matching the demand and the lead time and the specialities of the resistors and the capacitors. So matching the supply chain to the production book. So we have a very healthy forward order book going forward, but it's matching the lead times and of course the products that we make in-house and the products that we supply and specify from our suppliers. So like the resistors which come from Japan, the capacitors that we wind in-house, the transformers we wind in-house, the silver wire we have to buy, just the procurement and the purchasing and then knitting that all together into some sort of manageable mess and then getting it out on time. That's kind of like the biggest challenge whilst the company's growing. So if the company wasn't really growing, we could get on top of it, but just when we think we've caught up, it's like, here comes another order which pushes everything back again. So it's a constant sort of state of flux.
I'm Qvortrup, working for Qvortrup now since, it's back in the 90s when I started with Peter as a dealer, and since 2009 we start working here with speaker production. It's me, it's Martin, it's my son Lawrence, and even sometimes his girlfriend, and yeah, it's a nice work.
It's a small facility.
Yeah.
It's very personable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this part of the Audio No Way in a sense?
Yeah, I would say yes. It's part of the Arnott family. Yeah, Arnott family is. I would call it this way.
I mean, part of the mission, if you can call it that, sounds sort of almost religious. Part of the mission has always been to try to get people to listen to their music in a way that really captures their attention and imagination. And it's very nice to sell to rich people that have lots of money. This is, make no mistake about it, it's a hell of a lot easier and it's a lot less work. However, if the mission is to try to do justice to a broad range of music, a broad range of performers, many of them, most of whom are no longer with us, then it's a different issue. Then what you have to do is you have to make products that are, whilst not necessarily cheap, at least within reach of a much, much larger audience. And hopefully an audience that have an appreciation for music. Because music is, at the end of the day, the heritage that we inherit from our parents and our grandparents. At least the recorded heritage, I think is very important. I think it's part of the fabric of humanity that each generation has to pass on to the next generation. It's like our literature and the best part of our art, our paintings and architecture and all sorts of other things.
Our real big weapon is the matching of the speakers. The speaker itself, the crossover individually for each speaker. This is the big weapon of our speaker design. Yes, we start first. You have to match speakers itself. Woofers get barely matched, 50 to 100 pieces. Tweeters get matched, 50 to 100 or even more pieces. All speakers we do, or especially also the turntables, are special on order for custom made. It's not for stock production. It's every speaker. We have so much veneers. We have 18 or 19 different veneers in standard lacquering or in high gloss. So you can't do for stock production. Even on, for example, on an e-speaker, there's 10 different models, and multiply this with the veneers in high gloss or in standard lacquer. It's impossible to stock. You would end up in a nirvana.
But ultimately, it comes back to the music, not the equipment. So Peter's, drive at the beginning to delve into the recordings and the musicianship and the actual music that you're going to be listening to. It's almost like the equipment secondary to that. A lot of manufacturers, they just make some equipment. They buy some resistors, they buy some capacitors, look in a circuit book, make a circuit. It'll make a noise, and they seem quite surprised. Oh, this works. This makes music. Sorry, no, it doesn't. You don't understand the real depth, on a sort of micro level of what's going on. And I think if you look at any audio note product, from the IQ1 to an IO Limited, they all do the same sort of thing. Obviously Limited does it better, but basically the heart is in the music.
The legacy I would like to leave is a legacy where I basically helped create the very best components and the very best circuitry in the case of amplification and electronics that can be made.